In this video, we're going to be talking about ticker BETS, Bit Brother Limited, trading on the NASDAQ, and what is going on with this stock and what is the future outlook and what has happened in the coming or the recent days. So, if you haven't watched my videos, I actually called this one out around 1 or 2 cents and it spiked all the way to 10 cents. We took profits and I told you guys to, take your profits immediately and get out because the offering and a reverse split was coming. And that's exactly what happened. So what does it mean when they do a reverse split? This usually happens and is usually a very negative sign for a company. It just shows that, the stock is very weak and they are probably have been, and in most cases it's because they are heavily diluting shares on the open market, having offerings, and just are losing a lot of money, and shorts are usually manipulating these stocks heavily, and you should usually stay away from these plays. But I actually did get in this play and as a momentum based play with, and I really don't even like holding these types of plays in extended hours because my stop losses do not work. I have to just be very careful with these plays. But this play early, it went to 10 cents and we took profits, and then we had a 1 for 1,000 reverse split. So what is a 1 for 1,000 reverse split? Most of you guys know this, but in case you didn't. So what does that mean? For one, the OS, the outstanding share count, which, basically is the float of the company, will be reduced. So just as an example, this isn't, the exact numbers that happened, but let's just say, the outstanding share count was 1 billion shares, right? You divide that by 1,000. So a 1 for 100 or a 1 for 1,000, reverse split would turn 1 billion shares into 1 million shares, which is the available shares to be traded on the market. So the float would be sitting around 1 million shares or less after being 1 billion. And when you have a lot of eyes from retail and a lot of volume coming in, this is when, stocks can really move because, there's not that many shares available to trade. And that's why we saw extreme volatility in the market. We saw this one spike up. Now these stocks have, hundreds of millions of outstanding shares. So it's going to take a lot of volume to be able to move these plays. But we saw with Mullen Automotive post split, there's a lot of eyes on retail, a lot of volume for Mullen Automotive. Whenever they had their split, this one went up around 100%. And why did this happen? Because we have a lot of Mullen is backed by retail. A lot of volume was coming in. And as soon as, they had their reverse split, the float is reduced, high amounts of volume comes in, and that's when these plays can really squeeze. I actually called out ticker GMBL post split. This one had a 70% gain. And, same thing happened with that one. The float becomes, a few 100,000 shares after being, hundreds of millions of shares. So they can move way faster. And it's just way easier to move these stocks once the float and OS count is dramatically reduced. So with ticker BETS, this one did spike up after the reverse split a few times, but ultimately got manipulated down. I'm going to be honest with you guys, on Webull, it is saying, or on the day of the reverse split, it said we had 600,000 shares at float, or basically 600,000 shares, which means the float is, that's the most the float can be. And then on OTC markets right here, it says the float was 210,000 shares. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, this is going to turn to millions of shares very quickly. Why do I say that? Because they're hurting for money. A lot of times with a reverse split, these companies, they might spike up, the day of the reverse split. Like I said, if they're trending and they get enough volume, they can squeeze with a small float, with high amounts of volume coming in, like I just said, which did happen a few times with ticker BETS, happened with Mullen and GMBL most recently. BETS is hurting for money. So let's just say they wanted to dilute 1 million shares on the open market because they needed cash, and they did this, before the reverse split when they were trading, let's just say sub penny around, 0.05, half of a cent. They would only get $50,000 for selling 1 million shares. Now that they have the reverse split that happened, and if they sold 1 million shares on the open market, they would get $4.6 million for those 1 million shares. So I'm going to be honest with you, the float and the OS count is going to go up very fast. There's a lot of, shares that can be exercised as well that will affect the outstanding share count and float. And people are going to really freak out once they see this happen. They see how much dilution happens. And, it's just obvious they're losing so much money each quarter. Now, they are a Bitcoin mining stock, and this one can move up with a catalyst. It's highly shorted. If you look on Ortex right here, it is saying 1,300% of the entire free float is being shorted, which is extremely high. I think this is just, this is obviously, skewed because of the reverse split, and this isn't accurate. Ortex isn't always the most accurate, but it says cost of borrow is 332%, which is very high. Numbers are inaccurate, but just keep in mind BETS is highly shorted and highly manipulated as of right now post split. And guys, as you saw with ticker GME with that big squeeze, the live short interest percent of the free float was over 100%. What happens when, short interest is over 100% of the float, or what happens when 100% or more of the float is being shorted? That's when naked shorting comes into play, because there's no shares available to borrow. Cost to borrow will go up, and we can see very big squeezes with these types of plays. So what do we need to move a stock? We basically need a catalyst, we need volume, and we need more buyers than sellers. We need demand to move the stock price up. And what catalyst do we have? A ticker BETS. Now, they were a tea company and they turned into a Bitcoin mining company, and Bitcoin has dropped since the ETF. Now, guys, I was actually surprised by this. I actually thought that Bitcoin mining plays would go up once this happens, but keep in mind, we are still up a lot on Bitcoin mining plays. Still up a lot of these plays at still 2 or 3x since I initially called them out. But Bitcoin mining plays have really dropped ever since this ETF got approved. Bitcoin hit $49,000 and is starting to tank and go down as of now. And really, with ticker BETS, that affects the price, but obviously, dilution is going to happen. This is going to get heavily shorted and manipulated. Now, keep in mind, when this was trading under 10 cents and sub penny, it is very hard to short these plays, and a lot of brokers will not allow it, but there are ways to do it. A lot of people wouldn't do this, but some people could. But as of right now, it's going to be heavily shorted into the ground. And I think this one could, easily get down to $2. And what is the future outlook? It doesn't look good for ticker BETS. It's very highly shorted. It does have a catalyst. If Bitcoin, spikes near the halving, or as the halving gets closer, we could see a spike. But in my honest opinion, volume's going to die out. It's already starting to die out. And we will lose interest from retail traders. There's a lot of momentum for ticker BETS before the split and on the day of the split. And I just think the volume's going to die out, and demand for the stock itself will die out, and it's just going to get manipulated into the ground. And we could see this one getting pushed all the way down to $2, and we could maybe even see another split coming by the end of the year, or sometime next year, if they do not really start posting updates and they're silent. And a big concern is the OS count is just going to go up like crazy, and a lot of people are going to freak out when they see this, and they're just going to have to continue to dilute shares to raise capital, especially as they are trying to expand their business. And a lot of people are going to see that, and it's going to scare them out of their position. And I just wouldn't be holding this one in general. Get in this one at 2 or 3 cents when this one did spike up to 10 cents. I had a stop loss in place, and I did take profits very quick. I told you guys to take profits on it. To be honest with you guys, this is not looking good. Anytime there's a reverse split, it is a week for a company. Usually means they need to raise capital. It means they're losing a lot of money. As you can see, the price, went to sub penny for a reason. And the only reason I was trading it, because it was a momentum based play with, billions of volume coming in, and, was still a high risk play, but had a stop loss in place, and just thought the risk to reward was worth it. And that's what I did back when this one was trading around 2 cents and spiked up. And basically, you can go watch those videos now. I told you guys to take profits, and that a RS and offering was coming, and you should get out of the play. So that's what's going on with ticker BETS. So could you make money shorting this play right now with everything going on with Bitcoin? We didn't get the reaction we wanted. Bitcoin is tanking. Could you short this one right now and make a lot of money? I think you can make a tremendous amount of money shorting this play right now. Volume is dying out, and the OS count will continue to go up. So I could be wrong, but I'm very confident that you could do this. I think it would work out in your favor. That's it for the video. Let me know in the comments what you think about ticker BETS and any other plays you're watching as of right now, and I will see you on the next video.